So yes, case studies. And what do we mean by case studies? Case studies are when you decide that you want to test out your animal communication skills and abilities, to offer it to somebody else, so that you ask them for their animal, for you to, communicate with them and have the person's questions or whatever it is that you want to do. And when you do a workshop, or perhaps you've invested in an intensive course in animal communication, the way it works is that you'll go through your course programs, and then usually at the end you'll have an opportunity to do case studies, or even your teacher will give you the clients or the people who's going to actually be the ones who's going to be your case study. So is that everybody's kind of understanding of case studies? Yeah. So if I could change how case studies are being managed for animal communicators, this is one of the things that if I can get every animal communicator teacher to start to change the way that case studies are done, I'd be the happiest little bunny in the world. Because my experience, and please you tell me if this is similar, I did my course, and then they go, yeah, now go out, find people, tell them that you want to practice, consider them as case studies, and do as many as you can and get experience. So what I did was I just told my friends, I told my family. I was new on social media at the time. I just put a post out saying, oh, I've just done an animal communication course and I need to practice. Who wants to be my case studies? It's free. Who else has tried it that way? Okay. And I wouldn't say animal communication is the only way that this is how it's done. I think it's similar in many other topics or subjects or courses where you're looking for case studies. But to me, I could turn around to you. Well, I can turn around to you and say to you, you know what? I had a target of doing 100 case studies. And in fact, I completed 122. And you all be like, wow, she did 122. But 122, did they give me the confidence that I needed to then step forward and actually go into offering the services for a professional level, as in paid? And we already know how it feels when we say, wow, let me do a communication for you and you pay me. So in many ways, we're doing the case studies to make sure that we're good enough in order to be paid for it, because being paid takes it into a kind of a different mindset and a different domain. And I'm going to say to you that out of the 122, they weren't all beneficial to me. Some of them were actually disasters, because I either never heard from the person again, they never gave me any feedback, and then I'd be like, should I chase? Should I not? How long do I leave it? What if I chase them and it was really, really horrible or terrible? What if I got it all wrong? Do I really want to hear that? And then there were others whereby the most used word was interesting. And I didn't know what to do with the feedback. Interesting. Did it help me to improve? Did it help me to develop? Did it help me to know whether that's good or bad? It was almost a relief to get interesting, because it wasn't like you're wrong or it's terrible. But I didn't know what to do with interesting. And perhaps I'll say out of the 122, I would be confident that maybe 10 or even 15 of those, where the person gave me really good feedback. And not only did they give me feedback, they also maybe contacted me a week later to tell me how their dog or their cat or their horse. So they gave me like a follow-up of like what would have happened when they got the communication, how it helped them to understand their animal better. And then a week later, or even sometimes a month later, because things take time, doesn't it, to reveal themselves. So let's say if I chose to do 15 case studies, and somehow I chose these 15 people, would it have been better spent my time finding these 15 people, or just going, hey, I did 122? Because for my experience, having that 122 minus 15 caused me a lot of angst. Because what I came out of the 122 minus 15 was, because I can't actually know what the amount is. The 122 minus 15 was, I was either right, or I was either wrong, or I never heard from them again. So that was what I learned. And that didn't help me in my professional business, but the 15 did. So I would love to, if let's say you've never done a case study, I would love to be the person that showed you how to go and arrange for the case studies that will guarantee you success, guarantee you the benefits that you will actually get and gain. And I would prefer that you had, say, 20 of these quality case studies than, say, I did 200, of which it nearly burned me out. And, I still don't know, because I mentee professional animal communicators, and they all say the same thing, that even though they've done their case studies, they've even been on a course where the teacher's given them the people to be their case studies. They've passed these case studies with feedback and comments from the teacher. They still don't feel confident. So there's something missing here. So what I'd like to do is just offer you my approach. And if any of you would like to test it out, or even share it with somebody that you know, if you're no longer at that stage where you're looking for a case study, it can apply even if you're going to swap it with a friend or offering it to a family member. It's something to do with just knowing what the expectations are. So the person who knows what you need from a case study would be you. So when you put a request out saying, hey, I'm looking to practice and it's free, you're going to get all sorts. Now, you might say to me, look, I'd like to get all sorts. I just would like to know what it's like if anybody and everybody asked me for an animal communication. That's one path. The path that I want to show you is, what if you chose the person? What if you decide who you want to offer your case studies to? Now, does that make you feel a little like, oh gosh, like it's me that needs the experience. It's me that needs to know what to do. It's me that actually, feel indebted to the person for giving me their animal to practice with. Well, this is where the mindset stuff comes in. For you to be in that place where you want to offer somebody else a practice session says a lot about you and where you're at. It means you want to help them. It means you're kind of stepping forward to be daring, aren't you? To go, I'm going to risk it now. Before, I was practicing secretly with my own animals, maybe, with my teacher, with my colleagues, or with my friends in the membership group, because it's safer. So for you to actually step out and want to communicate with other people's animals, I want you to think highly of yourself. I want you to think how amazing you are to want to do that. Because there's always this imbalance, I feel, and I'm again coming from my own experience and also observations about other people that I've helped, that when we're asking for case studies, it's like, will you do me a favor? Will you help me out and give me your animal, and then will you give me some feedback? I would like it to be equal, where you really come from a place of, I have been studying animal communication. You know, you say to yourself, I'm not like completely new at this. I've invested time, money, energy into learning animal communication. And now I'm risking it. So actually, for me to want to offer a friend or a family member or somebody I don't know or a friend's friend, you know, a communication, I want to say how amazing I am. So hopefully that kind of lets you feel that it's not like, oh, I hope that, you know, that person's going to help me out. So mindset is really important. So how about if you were to decide who you want to offer your case studies to? How would that feel? I know this is new for you, Nicole, but this is why I'm kind of choosing you, because you're fresh and you don't have, hopefully, any other influences, right? So can I just kind of pick on you for a little bit? Come play the game with me, all right? So imagine you're at that stage now, and you are going to, you've done, let's say, a year's study of animal communication, and you're now ready, and you've got this, I really want to help other animals. I've seen what it's done for my own. And I've seen, you know, I've done some swaps with members in the group, and I just feel like it's time to offer, you know, somebody else's animal a communication for myself. So if you were to choose the type of person that you would like to work with you, so because they'll be the ones in charge of giving you feedback, for example, they'll be the ones in charge of making sure that they understand how important this is for you and what your outcome is. Could you describe the character of your ideal case study person?
Yeah. Hi, Joe. For me, it would have to be somebody who was open-minded and honest, forefront. Like they don't have to be somebody that necessarily um understands what I'm trying to do, but somebody who can appreciate that if it's important to me, then they will be kind enough to follow the steps that I would request so that I could get to the outcome. So the person that would naturally spring to mind is my big cousin. I'm really close with her. She's got a couple of dogs, German Shepherds. One of them's at the police and they have no idea what they're doing. And she said with love, and she is somebody who would, after a drink, probably say that I'm off my tree and completely crazy for thinking that I can do this, but then knows me well enough to give me the credit that I'm not doing something, I'm not making it up. Like I don't think, I'm not saying I'm Dr. Dolittle, you know, and I would try my best to explain to her and give her good grounding about why I want to do what I'm doing, and then equally and what I expect from it. So that's the kind of person I'd want. But fundamentally, you know, all the usual: kindness, loving, you know, somebody who has a passion about training or about helping pets, absolutely. But I think the two things for me would be honest and my mind's gone completely blank.
Yeah,
Honest,
honest and
open-minded.
kind and open-minded. Okay, so I'm just going to bring up a document, right? Because this is what I would love for you to do, because it really gets you clear about who you're going to attract. You know, I'm using law of attraction here as well, because if you're not clear about who you want to be your case study pet guardian, you're going to get anybody, because that's the law of attraction. But if you're clear, it means you've thought it through what's important to you, because a case study is supposed to benefit you. I think sometimes we think the case study is supposed to benefit the other person, because you're working towards either testimonials or you're working towards, you know, case studies where you can promote it or to have that confidence. So let's just call it ideal case study pet guardian. So just make it a bit bigger. So Nicole, we'll use Nichols as an example. She said open-minded, kind. Sounds like you said supportive, because it's like, even though they might say you're crazy, they're actually, you know, they're all in for you. Oh, and
Yeah,
you used another word, you said honest.
yeah.
Right. So basically, what you have now identified is if somebody goes, oh, I hear you're looking for case study. Oh, I got loads of dogs. You can pick whichever you want. And you chat with them a little bit and you realize that maybe they're not so open-minded. Maybe they got kind of a brutal way of the way that they're speaking, even though they're nice people. So, don't worry about it's not about whether they're nice people, because a nice person may not be kind. A nice person may not be open-minded, right? So don't choose nice people. So make sure for you, Nicole, it's like, I want to make sure they're open-minded. I want to make sure they're kind. I want to make sure they're supportive, and I want to make sure that they're honest. So you are now clear about the type of person that's going to benefit you to do your case study. Right. So let's go to what would be, so this is you again, Nicole. What would you, let's say, what would be the outcome you would want from
Ooh.
the feedback?
I think I would want, for me, I'd want some clarification that I was accurate. I would want the person that I confided in to do this to have an interest, so that they would ask me questions, so that they could understand more about why it is we're doing it. And ultimately, if the goal was to help an animal that was struggling with something, or try to understand a behavior trait, or even just why they're just so fun loving and what brings them the most joy they've ever had, that would be explored by the owner, so that it wouldn't be dismissed, so that what I was feeding back to them was actually taken into account, and it wasn't just done as an exercise, it was done with purpose.
Brilliant. So clear. Right. I'm finished with you yet, Nicole. So now tell me how you're in this for the long haul. Now tell me, how would you like the feedback?
I would like it in bullet points, and I would like a conversation, because a conversation, I can ask questions and draw out more of how they felt maybe when they got my feedback, and understand their emotions, and understand what their commitment is to continue it. So like act on any of those things that came back to them.
Okay. Now let's look at timeline, because we never think about it. Well, I didn't. I just go, who wants a case study? Oh, brilliant. And then I can get like 20 or 30 because it's free. And then it's like, oh my God, and then I might do it and send it to them within a week. And then I thought, oh, I haven't heard from them. But guess what? I didn't tell them when I wanted the feedback, because we don't think about it. We just think they're doing us a favor, and we assume, right? We assume they're going to give us feedback. So timeline. So how long would it take you to complete a case study?
I know me, and when I'm really excited about something, it would be my priority. But I also know that if somebody's like me and they have a job that takes a lot of their time, I think realistically 5 days, 3 to 5 days is achievable. And
Okay.
I don't think that's expecting too much.
Okay. And how would you offer the communication? Would that be in writing? Would it be in bullet point? Would it be in conversation? Would it be a recording?
I think I would probably record it, because I've learned a lot from you and Pi Dad, that actually seeing and feeling the emotion of the communicator is just as important as hearing the words.
Okay.
So I'd probably do that.
Right. So within 3 to 5 days of you receiving their information, you offer them a recording with the communication.
Yeah.
All right. So what about the pet guardian? When would be the timeline for when they give you their feedback after they've received your communication?
Oh, I'm not very patient, so I would want within 2 days, but I would probably.
Well, it's your case study, isn't it? It's your case study. Because guess what? If you felt like if you were the sort of person that needs it within 2 days, right? and then you think, no, that doesn't feel fair. I'm going to say to them 2 weeks. You're going to be in agony.
Yeah, I would be.
Because that's your personality. And what does being in agony do to you? It lowers your confidence.
Confidence.
Because you'd rather know within 2 days whether you were right or whether, because that's your personality. So, right. So you've got that timeline. Is there anything else that you think that we could be almost setting the criteria? Oh, yes. What kind of information would you want from the pet guardian about their pet?
I would want to know if there was fundamentally, if there's anything, any burning desire that they've wanted to know about their pet, with no promises, but I would happily ask the questions. And I would probably, that would probably be it, to be honest, because for my confidence, I'd want to know. And I would, if I, for example, did go to my cousin, I know her, I go on walks with her dog. So I don't know her dogs well, but I would certainly know them enough where I don't want to be stimulated by any more personal information of their life in the home.
Okay, so you don't want too much information about them prior, okay? So instead of saying what you don't want too much of information, what would you want? So be really specific. You want a photo, let's say.
I'd want a photo.
You want a name.
Yeah.
Gender. Okay. What else? Anything else you want to know?
Yeah, if they've got a history, if they know a history, i.e., for me, my dogs were working. So if they've lived a life of luxury as a pet, or if they are, or if they've had a life that's been a little bit more,
pet rescue.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Right. So for you, Nicole, it's important that you have the history, but you don't want to know anything and everything about them.
I don't want to really know their personality. I want to feel that.
Yeah.
I want to be guided by the animal on what their personality is like. So Dee Dee's as bouncy as they come, but Heiko was a lot more relaxed.
You could put avoid telling me about their personality. Or just leave telling me. So basically just say photo, name, gender, history, because then they're not going to tell you their personality, are they? So
because I don't want to be influenced by them.
Okay. Can you see how already writing this out, how clear you are without even realizing before I asked you what is important for you? Now, this doesn't have to be the same for every case study. You could say to yourself, right, I would like to do 30 case studies. And for the first 5, I want the pet guardian to be open-minded, kind, supportive, honest. I would like them to give me feedback about accuracy, ask me more questions, and explore deeper meaning. Then you could say the other 5, I might want a pet guardian who has never heard of animal communication before, but is open-minded. So the more specific you are about what you want, can you see how you're going to set yourself for success? Particularly about this bit here, the timeline. That has been my biggest mistake because I didn't have the guidance or the support. I didn't tell people when I wanted the feedback. And then I'd be, you can imagine, some would take months, some would take a day, and also the type of information that you want from your feedback. So therefore, if you were to use social media, or if you were to tell a friend, because again, sometimes my worst case studies were actually recommendations from friends because they didn't actually pass the correct information. They will just say, oh, I know somebody who's doing free animal communication reading. So some people thought I was a psychic. Some people thought I was an animal behaviorist. And then when they asked me, oh, we heard that, will you, and then be like, oh, I felt like I couldn't say no. So I want you to learn that for case studies, you are in charge. You are the ones that decide what kind of case studies you want, what kind of feedback you want. And so imagine now you're having a conversation with a friend and you say, I'm looking for case studies for animal communication, and I'm looking for someone who's open-minded, who's kind, who's supportive, who's honest. Do you know anybody like that? I also want this person to be very responsible when it comes to giving me feedback, that they can do it within 2 days. And I would like it so that we can have a conversation and that they will actually put it in writing in bullet points for me. It already changes the entire energy, doesn't it? Now, it's likely you're going to get less people, but I'd rather you got less people and have the quality than saying I've got 50, 100, 300 case studies, of which most of them you actually felt quite anxious about. Yeah. So any comments? I know, Verena, you've written empowering in the chat box there. It feels empowering when you're the one choosing your case study clients. Let me see if there's anything here on Facebook. So yeah, pop your comments. So this is just this would be my approach if I was to, like I say, influence other animal communicator teachers. Because the other thing as well is when the teacher gives you the person to be your case study, they haven't really matched what you need. They tend to match it with, almost like a situation of behavioral issues, or they go by health issues, or they go by animal in spirit, So again, actually, just out of interest, Nicole, back onto you. If you could choose, say, like you're going to do 5 case studies out of 30, out of the 5, what species would you want to focus on, and what kind of issues would you like to focus on?
Definitely dog, canine, horse, cats, because me and cats have never really been great companions, and I'd like to just understand them a little bit more, but that one's purely for my benefit. And then things I'd like to focus on, I guess, is to understand what's important to them and why. So I think I mentioned before with JJ, he loved to sniff. What was so interesting about it? Why did that drive you? And maybe just for each case study, have something where the owner can feel like they've got something really tangible. I remember the first time I was in a communication session. One of the funniest things that Heiko said was, tell her to give me more junk food. I love, and the equivalent was like a cream donut, because I was really strict with him because of his health. He had like carrots for treats, and that's something that made me laugh. And I thought I could totally see him saying that. And okay, mate, you can have some donut. So, something like that, that's a non-serious bit of personality from the animal.
Yeah. And what this does is it brings out your personality, Nicole. Yeah. Because often we forget that when we offer a communication, we're offering ourselves. Very personal. But when we're not given the opportunity to be clear about what we would like in a case study, we then try to be something or someone that is not very natural to us. So this is why I want to offer you this suggestion. So from here on, if you're looking for case studies, or you want to swap with your friends, or even with the members within this group, use this criteria, use this approach, because just because we're members in this group may not be, again, what you're matching. So for some members, they might not want to focus on accuracy as the feedback. They want to focus more on spirituality or wisdom or something completely out of this world, which will give you the freedom to do that. And then there will be members who want to focus on accuracy. And there will be the pet guardian that isn't that concerned about accuracy, but wants to know something that they might just never encounter with their animal. And then there will be other members that say, when I receive a communication, I really get a kick out of knowing whether, you can get the answers on how much my dog knows when you ask them questions about their daily lives. So I hope that that's been helpful for you, to look at it that way. Right. I'm just checking the Facebook. Okay, good. So any other questions on that, just pop it in the chat box.